So this morning, I'd like to look at the second precept, not taking what isn't given, and apply it to how we use natural resources that are available to us, the ones that Mother Earth provides. It's an important inquiry in this world, given that we are threatening our own survival. You could say, or we could say, that not taking what is not needed, that not taking more than is necessary, is an extension, or better yet, a refinement of the precept. Most of us will not outright steal, except for the occasional pen from the bank teller or the photocopies from work, but we might be inclined to take more than, say, a favorite dessert, more than our share of something that is, say, for free or a good deal, or something that is scarce. Think toilet paper during the pandemic. But when it comes to natural resources, which many of us are fortunate enough to have ample access to, we may not necessarily notice how much we are taking. Let's bring it down to earth and let's bring it into our daily life. Let's name the resources that are at our fingertips: clean air, fertile soil, clean water, and fuel. These are what sustain life: air, food, water, and warmth. For point of discussion, let's consider the resource of water, because it's one that is available to most, if not all of us. How much water do we use when we take a shower? Or wash the dishes? Or clothes, fruits and vegetables? How much water do we use to water our lawns? Do we just let the water run from the faucet when we brush our teeth? Do we take long, luxurious showers without considering this precious resource? These questions are not intended to make us feel bad about our water usage, but rather to raise our consciousness that this resource is not inexhaustible, and that if we are to consider our children, our children's children, generations to come, we might bring our awareness and attention in line with this perspective that this natural resource is limited and not to be squandered by our hubris. When I was a little girl, our family vacationed by going camping. My first camping trip was age 2. We slept in sleeping bags and a lean-to. Each year until the age of 16, for 2 glorious weeks, we simply lived and communed in nature. My dad taught us how to survive outdoors, how to make shelter if we needed, how to build a fire, how to cook on it, and how to safely put it out, and how to conserve water and how to creatively cook when supplies dwindled. He was in his element. It was only later that I realized we went camping because we couldn't afford to go to hotels for vacations like my school friends. And frankly, I'm grateful for this, because it was here that I learned the value of these gifts from the earth and how to use them respectfully. Each of us lugged potable water into camp, carrying what we could. Given the limited supply, sharing among 5 of us, we learned to be careful with how much water we used. We heated up just enough to wash ourselves or to wash our dishes, enough to cook with, and enough to drink after a long day of hiking. At 17, when I got my first apartment and my first water bill, I was stunned and confused. I called my dad. How come I'm getting a bill for water? I thought it was a natural resource, that it came with being human. Silly me. I didn't understand that I had to pay for what I used It was sobering, but I was grateful to have learned the valuable skill of conservation from my dad during those camping trips. Use only what you need. And from then on, I learned to not let water run unnecessarily and to appreciate the convenience of having running water inside the house. I also recall my early days of attending a retreat center in Western Mass, where water usage was taken quite seriously. At the time, the retreat center ran on well water, and with 100 retreatants at any given time, we were all asked to be conscious of and to conserve water so that there was enough for everyone. I loved this understanding that all of us were in the same boat, dependent to some degree on everyone's care and mindfulness practice. It was a beautiful expression of to others as to myself as to others. A sign hung above every toilet that read, "When it's yellow, let it mellow." In other words, don't flush unless it's necessary. We rinsed our plates in buckets of clean, warm, sudsy water before they were sanitized. Signs were hung in showers asking folks to be considerate of others by taking only a 5-minute shower. Again, the valuable lesson my dad instilled in me kept ringing true. And sadly, I also remember when the retreat center switched to city water. All the signs came down, and slowly the culture of conservation eroded. There was less awareness of our shared predicament, that still there was only so much hot water in the tank, and if several folks took a long shower, others would get a cold one. The subtle force of greed took over. This bred competition, with folks jockeying for position to be among the first to get in the showers. This continues to this day. No signs hang above toilets or showers reminding us of our responsibility to only use what is needed. For me, this is disheartening because without these constant reminders, we risk the subtle force of greed and we risk not seeing it. Running water seems so basic, so plentiful that we don't appreciate its necessity and its necessity for our survival. But what if there wasn't enough? What then? In all likelihood, in our lifetime, clean water will be an invaluable commodity. It already is in certain parts of the world, even in North America. I was stunned to learn that almost all of the First Nation reservations lack clean water. Now, how can this be? Can you imagine living without clean water? Having to buy safe drinking water from plastic bottles? Can you imagine not being able to shower because the water is so polluted that people are getting sick from it? Well, that happened just 10 years ago in Flint, Michigan. All of these examples keep returning to the theme of not taking more than is necessary, of learning to be mindful, especially of resources that are, for many of us, near at hand, for now anyway. Water is a prime example. Let's not take it for granted because it's easily available to us, because it isn't for everyone. Let's take these precepts to heart. Let's make them our own. There's no definitive amount that we must use or that we're asked to use. It's subjective. But take an interest in what we are using. Look more closely at our actions, in this case, at our consumption. Can we raise awareness enough to notice if we're being careful or casual with our use? Can we hold in mind the notion of only taking what is needed out of compassion and consideration for others, for future generations, out of respect for Mother Earth? Can we appreciate what is already here and that we have enough of what we need to survive and thrive right now? This is how we train our hearts to appreciate and respect the blessings we receive from the Great Mother, Earth herself. Were it not for her, were it not for us being here, we would not survive. So let's practice appreciation and gratitude for the resources that are near at hand. Let's also practice moderation. We can do this. It's for our welfare. It's for the welfare of others, for future generations, and for the welfare of Mother Earth. Thank you for your kind attention.